Hey Vision Chasers, it's Dr. Bird here. In the early 1900s, we know that there was widespread discrimination against people because of the way that they looked or where they came from. Additionally, there is discrimination against people for the way that they thought at this time. You see, some people had different ideas about the way the government should run. They also had different ideas about the economic system. They thought that it was unfair. They thought they were powerless. And so they thought that this system of economics, capitalism, should be tweaked just a little bit in order to make it fair for everybody. Well, if you thought that way, you were a target. You were considered a threat to the United States, and that was hazardous to your health, and it was also a threat to your actual freedom. So in this lesson, we are going to talk about a sad story of two individuals who had their freedom taken away from them because they had such different thinking than the norm. In the presidential election of 1916, Woodrow Wilson ran with the slogan of "He kept us out of war." As the Great War was waging in Europe, many wanted the United States to join in, but there were also many who didn't want the United States to join in. And the president was highly criticized for not taking actions, at least to make sure that the United States was prepared for war just in case. One of the biggest critics of President Wilson at this time was former President Theodore Roosevelt, the Rough Rider himself. So on June 3rd, 1916, President Wilson signs the National Defense Act. And in a nutshell, this is going to expand the size of the military. He agreed that the country should at least be prepared for war. And many people were happy with this law. As a matter of fact, they were so happy, throughout the United States, there were parades to celebrate the fact that the military was going to be prepared just in case. So on July 22nd, 1916, there was also a parade planned in San Francisco simply to show off America's readiness to enter the war if need be. Now, militarism is one of the causes of this war, and many people were concerned about the fact that the United States is now engaging in this practice. Now, I've done a video about the causes of World War I, and I invite you to check that out. So people had legitimate reasons to be upset about this buildup in the military because they took a look around and they realized that a lot of the people who were happy about it stood to gain financially from this law. For example, a business that made and sold bullets, well, they're going to benefit greatly by this law, and they're going to benefit even more if the United States ends up going to war. So this parade in San Francisco starts out, and it looks like it's going to be a great success. In addition to military members, there were civilians who also participated, who supported this movement. And in total, there's going to be over 50,000 people who are a part of this particular parade. And you can imagine this was a very happy moment, and people were proud of their country. They were proud of their military. But remember what I said before about people thinking just a little bit differently. And some of these people were actually radical, and they were very much against preparedness, and they were willing to resort to violence to show just how much they disagreed with the direction of the country. So shortly after this parade begins, there is a suitcase bomb that explodes, killing 10 and wounding many others. Thomas Mooney and Warren Billings were two known radical labor leaders who were against preparedness. So because of their past affiliations, the police were convinced that they were to blame for this. And so an arrest order was issued for these two gentlemen. So it didn't take long for Billings to have his day in court, and he was found guilty, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Now, Mooney's trial would begin a little bit later on January 3rd of 1917. So he would also be found guilty, and he was actually sentenced to death. So as time went on, there were concerns about the due process for both these men. Tom Mooney especially, because he was sentenced to die. So even the president stepped in and said, hey, maybe we need to take a look at this. Perhaps Mr. Mooney deserves a new trial because things are not looking so good. It doesn't look like things were fair in his first trial. So here are just some of the issues that were exposed after the trial. It was clear that witnesses perjured themselves under oath, and they did so because they were promised some of the reward money for the capture of whoever was responsible for the bomb. The prosecution also introduced witnesses that were unannounced and unknown to the defense, and that is not lawful. Additionally, there were issues with the actual collection of the evidence. It also appeared that the police tampered with evidence to make it look like Mooney was guilty. And there was forensic evidence that also proved that it was questionable that it was a suitcase bomb. There was a witness who said they saw Tom Mooney drop off a suitcase bomb, but the forensic evidence proved otherwise. It was also reported to everyone that Mooney fled the city because he knew he was guilty shortly after the bomb exploded. But he was actually on a vacation that he planned well in advance. And when he finds out while he's on vacation that he's wanted for this bombing, he sends a telegram into the authorities stating that he's coming back and he's going to turn himself in. And the information in that telegram was hidden from the public. So time is running out for Tom Mooney. He's sentenced to die. So there's going to be more pressure on the governor to step in and do something. 2 weeks before Mooney is supposed to hang, the government commutes the sentence to life in prison. And there's going to be witnesses left and right who confess to lying, but Mooney and Billings are still denied a retrial. And it would not be until 1938 when a governor who is willing to pardon the men is elected. And it would be a big deal, as you can see on your screen, when Tom Mooney is freed from prison on January 7th, 1939. And there was a parade and celebration held in his honor. So Tom Mooney is a free man, and he's in quite a bit of debt, but he's got plans to travel the world to tell his story to anybody who would listen. But unfortunately, he's in bad health. And as a result of his health issues, he would die shortly after his release in 1942. This story is closely related and similar to that of Sacco and Vanzetti, and I've done a lesson on those two gentlemen, and I encourage you to check that out as well. Well, that's our lesson for today. I thank you so much for watching. I want to invite you to download the worksheet that goes along with this video in order to further your knowledge of Tom Mooney and the Preparedness Day bombing. Also, if you would like to help us relaunch the Vision Chasers website, there's something that you can do in the description section, and I would very, very much appreciate if you take me up on that. So just check the description section to help us out. Additionally, please like, subscribe, comment on the video, and share it as well. So I thank you so much for your support, and until we meet again, please keep chasing the vision. Bye.